All right, very good morning to all of you. My name is Andrew Chia. So today we're going to be sharing some ideas relating to managerial skill, and it'll take about an hour plus. There's plenty of room for us to have some Q&A. So perhaps what I'd like to do is to just maybe show a little bit of the screen and a little bit about myself. And a little bit of rules, and you can actually, if you have any question, you can actually type it on the chat box, which is located somewhere at the bottom of your screen, and you should be able to see some ideas. So if you can just have any question later on, that's good as well. So. Okay, let me just show this thing a little bit. So, all right, so let's start the show. And this is a little bit about myself. I've been doing this training and consulting for about 29 years. Essentially, I train regionally. So today, very, very happy to share with you some ideas about essential managerial skill. And throughout the course, we would love to have a little bit of interaction as well as we run through the course. And to be very sure, this topic, as far as management skills is concerned, is not really entirely new. And so there are lots and lots of things we talk about. We share with you a few good ideas in our opinion, and then see where it takes us. So I guess the first thing to do is that in addition to sharing myself, a little bit about myself with all of you, be very good as well if we could get to know a little bit more in that sense. So to do that, what we would like to have is the ability to maybe get you to take part in a little bit of discussion, getting to know you a little bit more. So for those of you who are essentially, you are maybe managers yourself, if I could just, if you are already a manager, can you please type 1 at the chat box? If you are not a manager, please type no. Okay, thank you. I see quite a bit of a response. That's fantastic. Okay, just like to get to know you a little bit more as we go through the progress. All right, thank you so much. So I could see that, okay. So there's a mixture, it's a good mix. So for those of you who just joined us, welcome, very good morning. If you are already a manager, we just want to get to know you a little bit more. If you could just type 1 if you're a manager, 2, or type no if you're not a manager. So that will give us some sense of a little bit of your profile as well. Thank you. And also one more thing to get to know you a little bit more. For those of you who have, if you have been formally trained in managerial or leadership course, could you please type a Y for yes? And for those who have not received training before with regards to managerial skills or leadership skills, could you please type no? So yes, I have received training before. No, I haven't. Okay. So pretty good mix as well. The yeses and the nos. Okay, great. And the reason I like to do that is because to some of you, maybe the ideas that I share with you would be, maybe we call it a refresher, and where the rest of you maybe a little bit new. But I think overall, if you've been working for a while, you probably have some sense, some intuitive sense of what management is all about, managerial skills. So perhaps we like to maybe structuralize it, formalize it a little bit for the benefit of everybody. So doesn't matter if this is a refresher for you or this is something new for you. For those who have been trained before, or you are already a manager, refresher, perhaps even in itself, hopefully I can inject a little bit of fresh ideas, something for us to work through. And if you know, no problem. So we just tag along and we get to know this idea a little bit more. So I think the first thing I would like to do is just to do a quick survey, not survey about yourself. So in a short while, we'll do that. So ladies and gentlemen, today, for the short session that we're going to be having, the overview is this. We will be sharing with you the first item. What is the aim of a manager or leader? So how do you know someone, how do you classify them if he or she is a good manager? And what are the criteria that we're looking at? So this is the first thing that we'll be doing very, very shortly. What is a good manager? So that's the first item. And following that, after that, we'll be sharing with you some tools and techniques. What are some of the tools, managerial tools that we can actually adopt and hopefully can actually help us to manage our job better. If you are already a manager, you might find this very useful. If you are not a manager, it is equally applicable as well, because you might be dealing with people, right? Or of course, in future, you might get promoted to become a manager. So we will be talking about the aim, what is the reason for the existence of the managers, leaders, etc. And after that, we share with you some tools, how to manage things better. And of course, the last part of the session, as usual, we will have some questions. As usual, you can type your questions on the chat, and we'll try our best to actually address those questions as well. Okay, so we're all set. Let's talk about this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, assume that you have a choice to choose a leader. Now, I just want to highlight that this is not a political election. Yeah? So just for the fun of doing this, assuming you have the ability, you have the choice to choose a good leader, which leader will you choose? So I'll be giving you 3 candidates, so just 3 examples. So the first candidate is this. So again, this is not a political leadership election. This is assuming in your organization you have the choice to choose or elect leader. So this is your first candidate. Okay, the second candidate. And the third candidate. So looking at the 3 candidates, and if you have the power to choose a leader, a secret ballot, so to speak. So which leader would you choose? So what I need you to do is to type on the screen either 1, 2, or 3. So Rebecca is 3, Jacqueline, Shuping, Vijay. I'm trying to, it's coming out straight. Okay, 3, fantastic. Majority 3. So we're doing fine. So about 20 of you. Some said 2. Okay. So Kevin said 2. All right. So keep the thing going. So if you have the choice, which candidate would you choose? So type 1 or 2 or 3. So amazing. A lot of, in fact, almost 100%, with the exception of 1 person. I think it's Kelvin, type 2. And yeah, as we go along, fantastic. So most of you would choose 3. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for your time and of course your interaction as well. Thank you so much. So you have selected 3, and this is interesting. And the reasons you choose 3, but perhaps it looks good because this person doesn't really have in our system, especially in our culture, Asian culture, I would say maybe. It looks good, right? So, and the interesting thing is that this is the I actually read it somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. If you selected number 3, you probably selected this person. His name is Adolf Hitler. So amazing. But putting the light moment aside, candidate 1, 2, or 3, and what we're interested to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to, before we get into the nitty-gritty of managing, what are the skills that you need, and so on and so forth. First, we got to set the theme. How do you classify someone as a fantastic leader? So when you look at the answers that you type in, almost 100% except 1, all of you have selected number 3, and 1 person has selected number 2. It's not really a right or wrong answer. It's a question on how do you qualify someone as a fantastic leader. So that's something that we like to talk about, and that's what I meant by, the word aim, the first word that we talked about. What is a good manager and a good leader? So what are some of the criteria? So what I'm going to be doing is that I'll also continue to do this to get you to get a bit of interaction, and I'll come back to your choice of candidate in a short while. Yeah. So if someone will ask you, how do you classify someone as a fantastic manager or leader, and what are some of the criteria that you're actually looking for? For example, I'm going to type, maybe I'll just write something on the screen here. Sorry. Some of you talked about good leader and how do you kind of classify that as a good leader? Maybe some of you may say, okay, I'm just writing something on the screen here. Yeah. You may say maybe a good manager or leader must be visionary. Okay, so that's just an example. So what I need you to do for the next couple of minutes or so, ladies and gentlemen, if you could just type on the screen just 1 or 2 answers to be fine per person, maybe 1 per person because there are so many of you, right? So just type what are the criteria that you're looking for before you actually say that, hey, this person is really a fantastic leader or a manager. So could you please type something on the chat box, please? So I've just started 1 example. Okay, ethics, good in people management, fantastic. Rebecca, good in people. Leading by example, Kelvin. Ambitious, Joanne. Awareness, walk the talk. Firm, empathy, decisive, helpful, thoughtful, integrity. Leading by example, empathy. Yeah, those are fantastic. Humble, all right. That's very good. Good communicator. And you can keep the thing going. I just want to collect a little bit of thoughts from all of you. Role model, humble, servant, partial, ready, serve others. EQ, okay. Persuasive, okay. Rogawan talked about EQ. Impartial, fair, empathetic, good listener, etc. So they got lots of, actually the list can be very, very long. Visionary, good knowledge of human resource capital. Okay, fair enough. So that's fantastic. Okay, so interesting. So the list could be very long. Influential, humble, ethical, positive, etc. The challenge for good managers, good leaders, lots of literatures, lots of books written about it. And I think what we need to do is that to be very, very careful. All those things that you write, all of you have written down, from being a good listener to confidence, the latest by Vivian, communicators. Those things that you've written down, fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. Please keep them. Don't throw away. I'm not sure if I've detected because there's quite a long list. And I just want to add 1 more word. for us to do that. And I'll come to that word in a very, very, very short while. But if we start from the last example, I can see that from Vivian, and she talked about, say, confidence, commitment, good communicator, etc. And if I could just pick that, not just picking Vivian's answers, just generically talk about and so on. So all these things are very good, humble, ethical. And at the end of the day, there's one crucial word that I may have missed. If I missed that, I apologize, but I'm just going to write, very, very interesting thing. And that important word, I'll come back to that very, very shortly. And so if I could just perhaps write something on the screen here. And that important word is this. Excuse my handwriting. You could change the word from maybe from result to outcome, performance, etc. Of course, the result is dependent upon what you do, your organization. It is very much contextual. So why do I put down this word? So everybody, if you look at this, those things that you put down carefully, right? If we just talk about the generic example, how many of you have this experience before? Have you seen people who are excellent communicator, those who can talk and communicate very well, but they could not generate good results? For those of you who have experienced that before, good communicator, not so good result, could you please type 1? Wow, that's a lot. And this is not even, we are not even going into the direction of being sarcastic. So remember, we're just we're interested to find out how do we kind of classify someone as good. So for those of you who didn't catch what my question is, so an example is that for those of you who have experienced watching people who are very good communicator, but they could not secure or deliver good performance or good results, please type 1. Okay, so far so good. We are very unanimous, holistic. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, and then keep the answer rolling so there's a bit of interaction as well. So, and of course, to be fair, you also have people who can communicate very well and deliver results. But I think you've seen enough that sometimes the point is that we are not careful. We judge people wrongly, we evaluate wrongly. But since our topic today is essential managerial skills, as I've just made the announcement earlier, those stuff that you have written down, they are just fantastic. Humble, ethical, decisive, visionary, ethical, good communicator, no problem with those. But we got to have a context where you've got to have at least one eye staring at the screen here, which I've kind of written down in red font. This word results. And that's a big differentiator whether you are considered being a good or not good leader or manager. Now, this doesn't apply just in a profit-oriented organization. So for those of you, if you are from non-profit, if you're from statutory body, especially non-profit and everything, do you think results, it's also a very important criteria, one of the important criteria for the, becoming a good manager or good leader. So for those who are non-profit, or if you're from the, non-NGO, we call it NGO, NPO, non-profit, if you still feel that result is fantastic, could you please type Y? Y for yes. An example of non-profit is that if you are not able to secure funding or donors, then even non-profit, you have problems, right? So it applies for this. So let me just know your thoughts. You can take part in this quick discussion. Still revenue driven to support the full operation. That's right. You got to pay for expenses. You got to pay for this and that. So Of course, the result is that it's not just money, and we will talk about that later on. So fantastic. Thank you for your input. And we're going to drive down this a little bit further by sharing with you a couple of ideas. So, and I have picked two organizations from the identical industry, and we'll see how it helps us to get through our thoughts of what the criteria are as far as the essential managerial skills are concerned. So everybody, if you look at the screen here, look at the company that actually put up Kodak. Could you please type in a chat box, what is the status of this company? What has happened to Kodak now? If you just take 1 or 2 minutes to do that, please. As far as you know, what happens to this company, Kodak? Okay, not sure. Fantastic. Gone. Okay. World famous failure. Absolutely. Vanished. No more using. Yeah. Hard to find. Died. History. Rebecca. Okay. Right. Bankrupt. Vijaya. Answer is the closest so far. Failed to stay relevant, etc., etc. Replaced due to complacency. Okay, so there are lots of possible answers, and the true answers is this. I'm just gonna type on the screen here. Essentially, bankruptcy. But Kodak survives the bankruptcy. Okay. So from Sin Yin Lee, they did not change, and now rarely heard of them. Okay, bankrupt. That's right. Kodak has gone through a number of years ago, I think 6 or 7 years ago. They have actually gone through a period of bankruptcy, and as I typed on the chat box, they have actually survived the bankruptcy. Okay. Now, a big question now, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, when we look at the word bankruptcy, we already know that this word result that I've actually highlighted earlier is no good. Okay, bankruptcy result is not good. But very interesting for us to really understand in the context of Kodak. Why did you think Kodak has gone bankrupt? Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, Kodak, undisputed king. It was #1 in the world at one stage. Heavy weight, we call it, financial giant. So lots of money, #1 in the world. How could you, not you, but how could Kodak go bankrupt? If you're #1 in the world, you're sitting at a very, very nice position, right? So what are some of the reasons where Kodak has actually gone bankrupt? So I think a lot of you have alluded to the fact that maybe they don't improve, they've been replaced. So for those of you who said that the major reason for Kodak's bankruptcy is the arrival of digital camera. If you think that is true, can you please type 1? Okay, thank you. For those of you who thought that Kodak has gone bankrupt due to the arrival of the digital age, digital camera, which kills the necessity for film business, the negatives. Okay, so we have lots of 1. Fantastic, keep the answer coming. So that's good. So due to digital camera. And well, for those of you who are contemplating, for those of you who disagree that Kodak's demise is due to digital camera, could you please type 2? Type 1 if you think it's digital camera, the main reason for Kodak. So type 2 if it's not the main reason. get along with the changing trend. So you have a mixed answers. Fantastic. All right. So now we see a lot of tools. Yeah, this is quite a bit. So it's not due to digital camera. So due to digital camera, Kodak has gone bankrupt. Type 1. Not due to digital camera. Type 2. Thank you so much. Well, very interesting. As we go along, we increasingly we see more and more number 2s now. Okay, so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to write something on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to write this down. So some of you may know the answer. Some of you may not know. And the answer is not digital camera. The answer is, if I could just use a very short answer, the problem is leadership management. So something that we talked about in the earlier part of the morning. How do you look at managers? How do I know that some managers are good or not so good? We actually look at the outcome or the result. But if we can just write something on the screen here, this is a very important year, as you can see on the screen here, 1977. Some of you may have read about it. Fine. If you haven't, that's okay. I just want to share with you the true story. In 1977, Kodak's own engineer came out with digital camera. Okay, so this is something, if you have read about it, that's fine. If you haven't, it is truly shocking. How many of you were shocked now that you heard that, okay, Kodak's own engineer came out with digital camera? If you're shocked, please type 1. And the idea was ignored. Sorry about my handwriting. So if you are surprised or shocked that Kodak's own engineer came out with a digital camera, but it was ignored by the top management. So, and quite a number of you were surprised, shocked. And so when I read it for the first time a number of years ago, I was as shocked as you are. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is management leadership. You can talk about all those nice things, that's fine. And if you're shocked by this, for those of you, you can continue to type 1. But for those of you who have gone through that, it's nice to have vision. It's nice to have those. At the end of the day, if you cannot deliver result, then we have a big problem, right? So therefore, a very crucial part about management and leadership skills is the ability to deliver results. And for those of you, to make you feel a little bit more comfortable, of course, you can add in words like delivering results legally and ethically, if that makes you feel better. But the whole idea is that the collapse of an organization is due to leadership and management challenges. And of course, with this, Kodak's own engineer came out with digital camera. It was ignored by the top management, right? How many of you have experienced this before? Senior persons don't listen to those junior staff. If you have experienced that before, please type Y. Y for an yes. So clear that. Yeah. So this refuse to listen to people. So some managers, some leaders refuse to listen to people. Now, what is nice to, as you continue to type in, yes, you have experienced, senior members not listening to junior members, etc., etc. And just bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, if you are already a manager, so we are not really interested in criticizing others, yeah. So just bear in mind that it could actually happen to you if you're already a manager, or if you're not a manager now, you might be maybe more senior, as in more years of experience. That tendency of not listening to others may happen to you, and that's something we suggest that you avoid as well. So, and that's a shocking example for Kodak. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, It is not seriously due to the arrival of digital camera. It's about leadership and managerial myopia, very blind to opportunities. So I put that in Kodak because the next example that I'd like to share with you is also very interesting. Now, the next example is this organization. Another very, very famous organization. Now, I've intentionally picked two organizations from the same industry, identical industry, previously cameras and films, right? So Kodak has gone bankrupt, but not Fujifilm. And they are thriving, they are well diversified. So what I'd like you to do now is, ladies and gentlemen, looking at the bottom of your screen, Fujifilm, could you please guess, for those who know the answer, you can type the answer as well. Could you please guess which one is one of the top business income generator for Fujifilm? What sort of business units? Now, Fujifilm has, diversified quite a bit, and they got lots of portfolios, right? So business units. So could you please guess which product or service which is owned by Fujifilm is actually giving Fujifilm lots of money, lots of revenue? Could you please type on the chat box, please? So in other words, what do you think is the top or one of the top businesses for Fujifilm? Okay, healthcare, Kelvin, Joanne, Rebecca, healthcare, fantastic, healthcare. Digital camera, yeah, it's part of their business, okay, by Grace, digital, healthcare. But remember, our question is top business, yeah, one of the top revenues. Healthcare, fantastic, so quite a bit of that as well. Digital camera, top businesses, okay, great. So as usual, I'm going to type something, okay, healthcare, wow. They got quite involved in that. Okay. Thank you. So healthcare and yeah, digital camera, and of course, many others. And one of the top businesses that some of you might have read about, very interesting in our opinion, is this business. Skincare, cosmetics. Sorry about my handwriting. All right, how many of you okay, if you are surprised by this, can you please type 1, skincare, one of the top businesses for Fujifilm. All right, fantastic. Melody and Grace. Andrew, maybe you can try annotate by typing instead of writing. Yeah, I can do that, sure. Text, thank you for your input. And do that. Okay, just type again. All right, if you're surprised by that, please type 1, skincare, one of the top businesses. And by the way, I'm not a salesperson for Fujifilm, right? But this is I'm quite sure some of you have actually seen it before. This brand, you may not know it, but this is now you know it. It's actually Fujifilm's product, skincare. Okay, so a lot of you were surprised. Me too. The first time I read about it. So now. Because I go, okay, fantastic, right, Rebecca, creative, absolutely, weeping, yes. So if you're surprised by that, it's actually not a problem. But the idea is that you can see the thing that we're trying to do, right? We talked about how do we classify good leaders, good managers. So we look at the results. So this is an example. So what I'll do is that I'll just go through the trajectory to quickly talk about the Fujifilm, and now we talk about the differentiator, right? Good, bad manager. We don't care how well you look, or how well you dress, how good you look, and we wanted to actually look at the results. Now we emphasize on this quite a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, because at the end of the day, you know, most of your organizations, you probably have a performance appraisal system, right? Okay. Now, if you're not very careful about this word result, How many of you have you seen this before? In a typical performance appraisal system, okay, so you see a lot of people who got, promoted be due to their good looks or their good communication skills. Could you please type 1 if you've seen people who got promoted due to their good looks, male or female, and due to their excellent communication skills? Is type 1. So and this is the idea that we wanted to actually emphasize. So good managerial skills allows you to, working long hours. Working long hours may not be the same as result. Fantastic. That's a good answer. So you've seen those before, right? So we have come so far. Very, very important. Thank you for your continued participation. Yeah, you've seen people who got promoted due to other things than results. Whether they talk well, they look good or whatnot. And it highlights a very important distinction. So there are, as I've said earlier in the morning, there are lots of literatures, lots of books, articles written about management and leadership. Why is this still happening? Well, people forgot about this one word, results or performance. And when you look at the whole area, it is not just for you as a good manager to look at results, but it actually affects also the organization as well. If you're not very careful, as I've said, weeping, talk about seniority. So some company, as long as you have the capability to run a marathon, eventually it'll be your turn, right? Based on seniority. So that's very, very crucial, interesting. And now we know, of course, hopefully our organizations or countries or whatever are not going into bankruptcy, like in the case of Kodak. But companies can go into mediocrity, right? If you're not very careful, you may not go bankrupt or cause the company to go bankrupt, but the results could seriously impede the progress of the company. So this is management skills. How I picture classify, are you good managers, good leaders? We look at the ability to deliver results. And I'm just going to flip the screen a little bit. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for giving the inputs and taking part in this discussion. If we look at the screen, I just kind of share with you the thinking behind, and we just don't want to spend too much time on this. Everybody, you look at the center of the screen is the problem, is the end of a camera films. This is what Fujifilm is thinking. So first, they think about the films. They talk about this word fading and many others. So it doesn't come in sequence, doesn't matter. So as you go along, more and more, you can see the interconnectivity of the thinking behind. A good manager is always trying to solve problems and trying to get good results or secure a good result. So as you go along, one thing leads to another. Fujifilm actually have a chemical coating to preserve the photographs, to make it last longer, so to speak, to delay the process of oxidation, that sort of things. So and it leads to other stuff, environmental factor affects our skin as well. Protection, blah, 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 sunblocks, and, as I've said, it is not in any particular sequence. So chemical coatings. So finally, with this kind of thoughts, eventually they came out with this idea. So this is management, looking at a problem, trying to solve it, and thinking about how to solve it, fix the problem, don't fix the blame. As you can see, some managers or some non-managers or whoever leadership, they always talk about other things and so on. So that's interesting. Now, so what we've done so far is we've kind of concluded the first segment. Earlier in the day, I actually highlighted there are 3 things that we're going to talk about. The first thing is, what is the aim of a manager? How do we classify whether someone is a good or not so good manager or leader? So now I believe you know the answer now. The answer is results, outcome, performance, whichever words you choose to use. That is our conclusion for the first part. The aim is to secure good results. All right, so how many of you, if you find this sharing of ideas useful? Could you please type yes, please? So we just continue to get you to engage. You know, you can read about lots and lots and lots of books. So, and hopefully I'm actually not giving you the theory, but look at the idea of, hey, how do we know that we are good leaders and managers? So hopefully they'll find something useful for you, and you can actually go back to, you know, think about this. Yeah, so thank you so much. A lot, yes, useful. And our next interesting discussion will be, of course, how. What are the tools that we can actually use to actually help us to secure the results? So we know the aim is to get the good results, and what are the tools? So I'm just gonna run through this briefly. You know, there are two sets of tools, one of which is what we call technical tools for managers. The word technical here is not just science and mathematics or engineering. If you're a HR manager, or if you're a HR professional, then the technical tool for you is to understand the technicalities of handling the HR matters. So you are the content expert in HR, in accounting, in logistics, in engineering, that sort of things. So you are a technical manager. Okay, so technical means you're competent in the skill sets representing your department. So this is one set. And the other set is general ideas in managing. So it's not technical per se, but it's actually more to things like, you know, motivations and communications and feedback skills, etc., etc., etc. So we are looking at these two sets, and of course, some of you are stronger in the black area, which is the technical part. Some of you are stronger in the general part, and some of you might be comfortable in both areas. So as we look at this, and of course, if you could just give me a sense of this, because some of the ideas that I'll be sharing with you will be on something that is related to the red font areas, which is the managerial skills, the soft skills portion. So for those of you who are competent in the technical areas, so if you're competent in that, technical, type 1. If you're competent in the red font, the general managerial area, type 2. If you're competent in both, please type 3. Type 1 if you're competent in the technicality part of the work. Type 2 if you're competent in the general managerial part. And type 3 if you are comfortable in both areas. Just take a look and how this is before we move on. Okay, so yeah, quite a good mix as well. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Jacqueline, Grace, and Rebecca. So, okay, fantastic. Quite a lot of you comfortable in both. That's very, very good. And of course, if you are comfortable just in the technicality part, no problem. It's not really a negative. It just means that we have gaps to fill for either one. So if ideally you want to be comfortable in both areas as well. Although we wanted to go into the red font area in a very short while, just wanted to gauge where we are. Okay, so there's quite a bit of you are pretty comfortable in those areas. Okay, cool. And so I also like to share with you, as you go higher and higher in your hierarchy, you'll find both very, very useful, especially the red ones. So let's go into it and talk about one of the tools. I'm going to introduce the first set of the tools for managers, and it's actually called a strategic tool. Before that, if you could look at the screen, ladies and gentlemen, in case you can't see this very clearly, this is basically something to do with medical products, healthcare, medicine products. All right, so, and if you are, I'll just take a guess as well, just to get you to tag along. And these sort of products, medical products and everything, how many of you think that this belongs to a pharmaceutical company, please type 1. And those of you think, if you know the answer, please type the answer directly. The question is this: which company actually owns this set of products? Again, this set of products are like, medical healthcare products. So if you think that, if you don't know, if you're not sure, if you think the pharmaceutical company owns this set of products, please type 1. If you know the answer, you can type the actual name of the company who owns this product into the dialog box. Yay, Kelvin! Fantastic! Absolutely, absolutely. So Nestle owns this product. That's right. So excellent. So you guys are well read, so well exposed. Fantastic. So Nestle owns this product. That's right. So Kelvin, well done. Fantastic. Yeah, so that's good. Why do you think, again, overall, you look at the picture, Nestle is a giant in the food industry, one of the top, right? So, so very good compliments from Rebecca and Grace. Thank you so much. Kelvin, very good. And of course, the others as well who are aware of this. But if you're not aware, that's fine. It is not your fault. It's just some sharing of ideas. Amazing. So here's the thing. Why did you think Nestle go into that? Nestle is already very, very good, very, very strong in the food business, right? They are really the top, without any doubt, one of the top in the world. And they are doing this because part of the managerial skills is to secure results. Remember, secure results. The aim is to make the organization strong, whether it's for profit or not. Make strong, get the results. And one of the tools in getting the result is what we call a strategic tools. And for those who have gone through this before, this is a refresher. If it's not, that's fine. So this set of tools it contains 6 alphabets and an acronym called PASTEL. Okay, so this set of alphabet, it's part of the strategic tools. It is used in risk management and for management in general as well. And we actually looked at the 6 factors. By the way, these are all external factors that could affect you. I just want to also highlight, this set of tools can affect your organization positively or negatively. Really depends on which direction the wind is flowing. The 6 alphabets are this. The first one, P. This deals with changes in government regulations. It could be not just Singapore, it could be any countries. If your organization is in different countries, or if you're dealing with customers or suppliers or whoever of different parties from different countries. So the changes in rules or policies of those countries, including Singapore, may affect you positively or negatively. So this is the P factor. And again, just a quick one. And please type 1 if you think P can affect your organization. Now it can be positive or negative. Please type 1. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So yeah, any change in government regulations, regulatory, either policies, laws, and rules, and definitely, especially, yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And okay, fantastic. The strategic tools to help you actually look ahead. And along this line, how many of you have seen companies get into trouble? They're not performing well. They don't have good results. How many of you have experienced this before? Those leadership, they blame government policy changes. Please type Y if you have seen that before. Their companies are not doing well. They blame not blame the government per se, but the changes in regulatory things. Okay, thank you so much. So keep the thing going and the interaction. And what we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, is not to blame government or blame the company or blame the leaders or managers. We are here to inculcate what good managers are. How do they look at results? Are they the type that are reactive and passive, or they kind of take the bull by the horn and say, hey, things can change, you know, rules and regulations and policies can change. Am I going to sit down on the chair, or am I going to think about it and then come up with my mitigation or possible plan A, plan B, plan C to mitigate that? So this is just one. I won't ask you the same question for the rest of the alphabets, but it's just get you to think along that good leadership would actually take initiative to look at the strategic tool. P can affect us, so is this. Again, I won't have to explain too much about this, except the part where it's not just the word economy in itself, but things like, for instance, the prices of commodity. Okay, it can go up and down, so it can change as well. The third strategic tool is the social cultural aspects. If anybody asks you, have you been to Starbucks? Yes. You know, how many of you are Starbucks customers? Please type 1, just a quick one. You know, if you've tried before Starbucks, and so by the way, it's nothing wrong with Starbucks, yeah. And but without drinking Starbucks, you will not have any problem. But so Starbucks is a very good product. It's a social cultural product. Okay, so lifestyle. So anything to do with lifestyle, demography, you know, that sort of things, it's a social product. Okay, yeah, absolutely right. Bubble tea, very hot. So, you know, it originated, I think, from Taiwan and lots of others. So it's a social product. Followed by the fourth alphabet, technological. So again, remember, ladies and gentlemen, all these so far, any change in this would either positively or seriously impact your organization in a negative way. All right, second is environmental. And I used to have this example. I would not name the company. It's actually a factory. That factory had to import things from overseas, okay? And they have actually purchased something from Japan and passing through Taiwan, the Philippines before reaching Singapore. And at that time, there was a typhoon causing the shipment to be delayed, and the production in that factory practically halted. It just had to stop because there's no material coming in. So typhoon is an example of environmental factor. So this leader in that particular organization blamed the weather, in this case the typhoon, for their stoppages in the factory. So I don't need you to answer this. Strategic tool. So this manager obviously is the same thing we talked about earlier. He or she is going into the blame mode. He or she is not looking at the strategic tool, how to use this to help our organization. So if you think this is a little bit harsh, how many of you think that the typhoon into the Philippines is totally a surprise, or you think there is a season for that? So for those of you who think that typhoon is seasonal, you can't know exactly the minute or the hour it happens, but you can roughly tell, you know, from the expert when the typhoon will occur in certain region. So those of you who think that typhoon is not a surprise, can you please type yes, it's not a surprise. I'm talking about, of course, Philippines, right? Seasons and so on. Yeah, fantastic. Yes, quite a number of you. So yeah, fantastic. And as we go along, you discover the usefulness of this as a strategic tool. So again, elevating yourself to a much higher level, not in a hierarchical sense, but in the thinking sense that you are really a fantastic manager because you are looking at this and try to avoid problem. Okay, so thank you so much. The last is, can people, customers, suppliers, consumers, whoever it is, can they take legal actions against your organization? So this, the last alphabet, completes our idea on strategic tool, the pastel. So as you can see from here, Just want to do a little bit of exercise, the pastel. Okay. Which alphabet did you think Fujifilm took advantage of and came out with skincare and cosmetics? Could you please type the alphabet, please? So this is a bit of a quiz or exercise. Archana, Donna, Joanne, E. Right. Cosmetics. Okay. Okay. All right. Fantastic. S, T, Michelle, is technological. Right. T and E. That's right. Okay. So you're mostly correct, yeah. So ST, the environmental factor, the oxidations, etc. So understanding the environment is important, and knowledge of technology is important. That's good. And then finally realizing that people like to look young and not just beautiful. It's we like to be healthy as well, because skin health is crucial. And of course, Kodak missed the T, as in digital camera, even though they had it. So you can see perhaps if I use the word, the magic of strategic tool for us to actually manage our area better. Thank you so much again for your participation and for your enthusiasm. A very important point before we say goodbye to this strategic tool is this, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't use strategic tool from a historical point of view, meaning there's no point for you to look backwards. Use this as a moving forward kind of thing. So try to constantly scan all the 6 alphabets. If it is negative, avoid it and try to come up with mitigation, plan A, plan B, plan C. If it is positive, we wanted to grab the opportunity, as in the case of Fujifilm, as in the case of Nestle. Okay, and the healthcare products, medical products, right? It's something that related to S, because especially in advanced country, as the population gets older, right? The graying of the population, so more and more products, as in the case of medical products, will be required. So people live longer, that sort of things. So that's a strategic tool. So I'm going to cover one more tool to actually help you to take this further. And the next one is something related to what we have, consistent with the theme that we've been talking about since morning, okay, earlier part of the morning. So we conclude the strategic tool and we talk about the operational tool, okay. So, and for the operational tool, I would like to work with you. If I just change the screen a little bit, because I've got something to sort of share with you. Okay, so just bear with me for a moment. Okay. All right. So sharing that in a short while. Okay. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm just gonna get you to take part in this quick exercise and assume that, just make an assumption that you are actually working or you're observing this. And so we're gonna be talking about the general, yeah. So just have some fun. The numbers are fictitious, so I just came up with that. So which of these do you think has a better performance? Let's say you're working for the Ministry of Tourism in any country. So as I've said, the numbers are fictitious. So there are 40 million tourists and 50 million tourists. So for those of you who look at this, and I would like you to maybe help us to answer which one of these is better in terms of performance for the Ministry of Tourism. So you can type 40, 50, or you can type 2018 or 2019, that's fine. performance-wise, which is better? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Keep the answers coming. And while you do that, I just want to interject. Hopefully I'm not actually insulting your mathematical capability. Yeah? All right, fantastic. Great. Thank you for this. So yeah, 2019. And I guess the reason you answered those, right? 2019 is better because there's more tourists. And our next topic, to be fair to you, we're going to be talking about performance and results. Since in the morning we started with results, and we wanted to actually do that as well. What is a good result, right? And so, and I just want to just annotate that. And so let's look at this. Okay, so you are, I think most, if not all of you, have seen this before, KPI. So as we talked about results, we want to talk about KPI, key performance indicators. Okay, so and to do that, it's something very, very interesting, because we are very interested to talk about what is key and what is non-key. So we wanted to sort this out first. Again, hopefully, as I've said from the morning, we might not be sharing new ideas with you or new topics per se, but we're sharing some new ideas, maybe different ways of looking at it. So earlier in the morning, we look at it differently. Management, leadership, we are very interested in the results. Plus, hopefully, all the ethics and everything comes in. That's fine, the communications, but that's one. So now we talk about the results in itself. So I want to park my answers for a very short while. So most of you put 2019, fine, understandable. So I wanted to also look into this point where you look at the second example. In general, let's say that's a minor crime, and then the police, minor or major crimes, they have officially they have to make reports. Let's assume that for the reporting, the target for them to complete it is 10 minutes, but they actually done it in 5 minutes. So how many of you think this is a good performance? Please type 1. So this is general, yeah? So the target to complete something is 10 minutes, but they could do it in 5 minutes. If you think it's a good results or good performance, please type 1. Okay, fantastic. So very, very good. So yeah, so we're happy to see lots of participation. No, detail must be missed. Okay, fantastic. Grace, right, good. So very good. Now, let's say the details are correct. There's no spelling errors. It's 100% accurate. It's 100% complete, as in not missing out anything. So it is something interesting for us to look at. So I'm here to actually share with you the second set, the operational tool. We're very interested in understanding this, and that tool is KPI. So how do you look at the operation and say, hey, we're good performance or not so good performance? All right. So and as you know, the word KPI stands for key performance indicator. Certain organizations put the word index, key performance index. That's fine. So we're going to talk about key performance indicators. And we'll come back to those words key versus non-key. For key, we are very interested in the results. Again, consistent with what we have been talking about since the morning. So we're interested in the results. So to do that, we'll come back to the earlier quiz that we had. I'm just going to, again, write something here. Remember, we're talking about key and then the results in itself. So I will type something here. So this is a number of tourists. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the screen here, I put down 2 words. Number of tourists versus their spending. Which one do you think is key? For those who think is spending, you can type S, if it's a short answer for that. Okay, fantastic. So majority type S, yeah, number of tourists, yep, fantastic. Yes, S, yep, spending. And there you go. While you do that, I'm just gonna write something here. Okay. So this is my introduction to the concept of performance, KPI. So for, yeah, a lot of you, some of you say number, fine. So yeah, I wouldn't say that it's wrong. In the context of Ministry of Tourism, in the context of a country, then you need to decide which one is better for the country. More tourists or more spending. So, so along the line, that's how we actually look at key versus non-key. Um, unless there's other specific reasons that we're not aware of, typically most countries, right? Maybe you can actually answer that as well. Most countries would prefer spending versus numbers, I would believe. So that is just one example of how we look at performance. And similarly, when you look at the second one, okay, so we look at the second portion. How fast the report was completed, including the accuracy in itself. And then Grace talked about those things, right? Okay, good. So how do they do it? And do you think that this is key or non-key? Part B, the police report. Completion of report within certain time frame, is that key or non-key? So those of you who look at part B, the police report, if you look at this as a non-key or key, if you type, if you think it's key, please type K. If you think it's non-key, please type N, the police report. Non-key, Grace, fantastic. Non-key, non-key. Round of applause to Joanne. Non-key, fantastic. Yeah, so Joanne is either an expert in KPI or she's very competent in manager skills. Congratulations, all your answers are correct. Because in the case of the police report, we are very interested in, I mean, it's good that they can complete it efficiently, but we also like to say, I think Joanne mentioned something like this, you know, crime rate. So solving the crime or the reduction of crime rate is key versus reporting. So this is another dimension that we'd like you to think about, key versus non-key. So I'm gonna kind of flip the screen a little bit. Okay, as I've said, key is the results. What's the aim? For the Ministry of Tourism, we would love to have as many tourists as possible coming into the country, but we also like them to spend more. Now, the police department, no problem. They can complete the report very efficiently. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, the question that I want to ask is this: has the crime rate reduced? Has the crime rate been reduced? You know, are we able to do that? So this is key. Now, non-key is this. I just want to clarify that so that we are in sync. Yeah? We do not ignore the non-key. How fast the police is doing the reporting, how many tourists coming in, we don't ignore. It's just that for the context of where we are in our system of managing, we exclude that into, you know, we don't put that into the performance system. That's the only distinction. We are not asking you to totally ignore those. Okay, so that is an example of what we wanted to do so that people can actually have a sense of what key is, non-key is all about. And consistent with what we have, once you put this in the performance system, then you don't have to worry about who can talk well or who can't talk well, who has a better looking face or not, whatever it is. We want to look at the results. Okay, so, and therefore you can even apply this in a setting, you know, for those of you who attended meetings, I think all of you attended meetings before, right? How many times have you seen this before? In your meetings that you attended, the agenda or the story continues until today, meaning last year, last 2 years, the story, we keep talking about it and we still talk about it today. If you have that experience, please type 1. You know, the meetings agenda, the meetings, you know, the things that we talk about, it kept repeating. So if you have that experience, yeah, so quite a few of you have that, you know, and when you attend the meetings, you know, some of you, your eyes may roll, you know, before you attend the meeting, you already know what they talk about, right? And it's the same thing rehashing over and over and over again. Achana, that's right. It's called operational failure. Absolutely. So why is that happening? Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, we are not into the blame mode. We are into managing mode. And the reason they do that, because most meetings, they have agenda, but we are actually strongly recommending that meeting should have a outcome-based kind of agenda rather than talking about this. So anyway, we won't go into the meeting, you know, the nitty-gritty effectiveness of meetings and so on and so forth. So we talk about the results. Sorry. All right. So key versus non-key, and something that's actually stop. Okay. I think I got the slide upside down. Sorry about this. So, right. Okay. So this is very interesting. Just to summarize what we've learned, folks. This, admittedly, if you are new in KPI, this is quite challenging. The customer service, the target is 95% satisfaction. Now we are actually getting 99% satisfaction. Okay, so how many of you think that this is key? Please type K. In the customer service department, we have a target of customer satisfaction 95%. Now it's 99. Assuming there's no cheating, there's no hanky-panky, the satisfaction is real. The customers really say that they are very, very happy. Thank you, Kelvin, Key, and Joanne. Yeah, lots of you put K, fine. So, all right, great. So this is actually a lot more difficult than the tourism example and the police report example. Thank you so much for all your participation. And let me play the devil's advocate. Yeah. So in the customer service section, do you think customer satisfaction is key? A lot of you said yes. So maybe I ask you some interesting questions, right? Have you seen customers who are complaint king or complaint queen, but after a lot of complaint, they still continue to buy from you or continue to patronage you, continue to give you business? Have you seen those before? If the answer is yes, please type 1. Complain, but keep giving you business, continue to give you business. Yep, thank you so much. Wow, keep the thing going. That's fantastic. And so what I would like to add on for this is that customer service, yeah, if they involve selling something, then the key is this. Does that make sense? So the key is repeat. In other words, what you're trying to do when you focus on the result is this. Yes, customers are very happy. Non-key. Non-key, remember, ladies and gentlemen, don't ignore. Yeah. So the idea is the key for this particular segment is repeat sales. Now, I just want to type in something as well. Dependent on the JD, ladies and gentlemen, JD stands for job description. If the customer service, that part, they are just handling calls or emails from customers without ever having to involve themselves with selling anything at all, then the customer service satisfaction is key. Okay, so just to clarify. If that customer service department has an element of sales attached to it, meaning every time customer call, they're trying to upsell or cross-sell thing, then we wanted to also measure the revenue. So Grace talked about recommendation. We actually recommend that if the customer service department is purely customer service, without any element of selling, then customer service, maybe I'll just type here to get this, is so just put the short form. Customer satisfaction is key if JD has no sales element. And if the JD has a sales element, then we are more interested in measuring the results of that customer service. So in consulting, like if you can just add in this word, we're trying to avoid this. Hopefully this word, this phrase, busy bee no honey, would actually help you to think about performance. So sometimes it is not the fault of the individual or the staff. Sometimes people look busy, and that's just because of the way we capture their performance. Okay, so that's our segment on that. So later on, we have time for us to talk about the questions. Yeah. And the second one, which I like to do now is how many of you say punctuality is key? Please type 1 or yes. Punctuality, if you, the second question is punctuality key, you can type 1 or you can type yes. And if you need a couple of minutes to think about it, that's fine as well, while the rest can chip in. So ASEAN, Jaya, okay, 1. Okay. All right, cool. No, as long as it can be done within the given deadline. Okay, it's from Joanne. Okay, different sets of answers. Xiu Ping said no. Maybe I want to be a bit, hopefully not rude, but maybe blunt a little bit. Nosri has a answer. As long as the results are produced, it's fantastic. No, but cannot ignore. Okay, very good. Iris, yes. No, you can't ignore. That's fine. We don't ignore those. So maybe I ask a silly question. Have you seen human robots before? How do I define human robots? Those people who, maybe I'll just type over here. Grace mentioned come in on time, go off on time. Yeah, human robots, something along what Grace has talked about. We are in sync, Grace. Human robots, I define it as those people whose body is always on time every day, but results not so good. Have you seen those before? Their bodies are here, just like a robot, on time every day, you know, but the results not so good. So, and this is another point about this. We are very interested in the results. And don't ignore punctuality, but punctuality, it is not a performance issue. So if you've said it before, no, don't ignore, but we just try not to put it in the performance system. We professionally and honestly, we believe we shouldn't put punctuality inside the performance system. We don't ignore it, but just don't put it inside. Because if the results are very good, we are actually measuring the results anyway. And if the result is no good, we are also measuring the results. Hence, there is no need for you to put punctuality inside the performance system. So this is a crucial differentiator of what we wanted to do. And then, of course, I just want to just get this. I just lost the slide a little bit. So I'm not sure why this is gone up differently. Hang on, just my apology. Just do that a bit. Okay, sorry about this. Not sure why it doesn't appear. Anyway, let me just annotate and clear all drawings and close this. Thank you so much, Grace, for agreeing about human robots things. So just want to capture this properly and this. Okay. So this is the last bit that we would like to work with you. Practical exercise, what would you do for this? So for those of you who say that you need to take action on this, so I just want to summarize this, yeah. For 1, 2, 3, 4 cases. I'm just typing my comment, and anybody say you agree. Take action on item 3 only. So that's what I type in. You would need to take action as a manager. We need to take action on item 3 because item 3 directly hits the results, right? For item 1, 2, and 4, before you get angry with your staff, please look at the results first. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at item number 2, they never smile at the customers. Some customers are weird, the more you smile, the more they run away, right? Any one of you who has gone into a retail environment, a shop, you will know that as you walk in, the staff smile at you and they say, "May I help you?" And I think most of your answer is no thanks, I'm just looking around. Whether looking around for other products or looking around for exit door, I'm not so sure. But we try not to use the word micromanage. Okay, so that's our managing of the results. Okay, so we've shared with you a couple of ideas, quite a bit extensive. So to summarize, we've shared with you about the results, and we also shared with you a little bit more about the result itself, how we look at results. One tool that we use is PESTEL, P-E-S-T-E-L, and then how you kind of capture the results. We share with you briefly on the idea of KPI. So, and for so far, I just want to conclude this. There's a little bit of Q&A as well before we move on. So, and stop share a little bit. Okay, so so now we go into the Q&A mode, and so we have a bit of time to do that. So, okay. So let's take in for the next few minutes or so. I will try because there are about, I think, 59, almost 60 of you, and see what we can do. If there's anything that I can actually help you with in a question, maybe you can take in a couple of questions. Okay. So while you think about the question, I just want to flip the screen a little bit. For this particular course, Essential Managerial Skill,